Hello, welcome to Barr & Combs Blacksmith Shop here at Fort Steele, Heritage Town. Today we're going to be making a cordon candle. There's quite a history of cordon candles that goes back into the day where they were used in the process of courtship between a young man and a young woman. The young couple usually would not get much time alone together, and any time that would be considered alone usually had supervision from the young woman's father. If he were, however, to give them any alone time, he would take out something like this, a cordon candle, where you can wind the candle up to a different height, adjusting how long it can burn for. Then he would light the candle and wait for it to burn down to the cusp. That is the amount of time that the young couple would have alone time together. As soon as the candle burns down, time's up. So let's show you how to make one. To make a cordon candle, I'm going to be using a piece of 1/4 inch round stock, one that I have cut to 52 inches long. This gives me enough length to spool it around my jig and to have a few little adornments such as some curls and a little bit of a bent handle. The first step I'm going to be doing is tapering both ends and curling them over, giving them a very slight scroll so they look a little bit nicer. So let's show you how to do that. My fire is lit and burning nice and hot. So I'm going to take my steel and put one end into the coals, making sure that I can still see where the point is. So I make sure it does not melt in my fire. Now that my steel has some heat, I'm going to begin tapering, similar to how I tapered the nail in the last video. So holding my steel at an angle, I'm going to match that angle with my hammer. And I'm going to use my hardy hole as a slight measurement so that both my tapers are roughly even length. Run out of heat, back to the forge. Now that I have a rough square taper, I'm going to now knock off the corners of the square, turn it into a round taper, and then curl it. Now that I have heat again, instead of hitting on the flats, I'm going to move it to the diagonals, knock down the corners, and now that the corners are knocked off, you can see I have a very jumbly, almost cylindrical shape. Next step is to give it more heat and then slowly turn it on the anvil and keep up a consistent hammer speed to make it a nice circle, matching the roundness of the stock. Now I have a nice round taper. Next, curling. To curl the stock, what I'll do is I'm going to bring it over the edge of the anvil, give it a slight ding so it looks like that, and then start hammering it towards myself. See, I'm starting to get a nice little curl, and to even it out, bring it to the side of the anvil until I get a nice curl. Now that I have repeated the same step of curling on both sides of the piece of stock, we're going to move on to creating the coil of the Cordon candle. To do that, we use this jig right here that we have pre-made. One of our previous blacksmiths made this mighty fine jig, and what it does is it catches the Cordon candle and then it curls it around so we can get that nice spring. For this, I will be donning a pair of gloves just so I can hold my steel and not get burnt from the friction, and so I can move this with all my muscles. Because this part I do cold rolling. I start it off hot just to get it nice and cinched, and I roll the rest cold for a little bit of a nicer finish. Let's do it. There we have our coil. Quite nice, even itself out. We'll swap out jigs and show you the next step. Alrighty, now I have this little section heated up. I'm gonna bring it to this jig right here and gently bend it around. Probably need one more heat right there. One more heat. So you can see we have a slight curl. Second heat will get that the rest of the way around. Woo, that's toasty on the fingers. The hammer just allows me to apply some more percussive pressure to force the spring into a nicer shape. Now, the final step, bend this piece up and we'll have a finished Cordon candle coil. Say that 5 times fast. Finished. Now that I have some heat, I'm gonna go back to the handy vise right here. I'm gonna find exactly where I want to bend it over. Lock it in place. Grab my scrolling tongs, give it a nice bend, and twist that piece outwards. There, we have the rough shape now. Now it's just some final adjustments on the anvil. Final adjustments can be done cold on the candle as it's only 1/4 inch stock, so it's not super hard to move. But now that it is all set up and it's sitting on the anvil mostly flat, I can take a plug that I made prior. This is simply another curled piece of 1/4 inch stock through a piece of wooden dowel that I drilled a hole through, and it's just pressure fit in there. Screw that in and grab your favorite candle. And there you have it. A Cordon candle. Well, thank you for joining us again in Barr & Combs Blacksmith Shop. Hope you enjoyed. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe if you want to see more from Fort Steele Heritage Town. Have a good one.